In the AMGA Single Pitch Instructor course, we teach a bunch of assistance skills, sort of like self-rescue, but we use these mostly in assisting our ability to teach climbing. They can be used in self-rescue, and they're actually a really good skill set to know, even if you're just a recreational climber, because they can help you possibly go up and get somebody down or bring somebody up a cliff, things like that. So we're going to focus here in this lesson on the single pitch pickoff. So that's going to involve a belay takeover, ascending a line, and then picking off a climber that may be stuck or having issues up on the cliff in a single pitch setting. So generally we want to carry a few pieces of gear on us. That's going to be a 48-inch runner or double shoulder length runner. We're also going to have some sort of a friction hitch. So I've got the friction hitch here on me. And then we also need a Grigri or a assisted braking device on us. The Grigri really I've found works best for this scenario. Taking over a belay is one of the first things that we teach. The importance of this might be that this person gets stung by a bee, or for some reason just can't, it becomes incapacitated and some reason unable to deal with keeping the person that's climbing safe. So what we want to do is we really want to make this situation as safe as possible. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to just come in and we're going to tie a backup knot. This is just an overhand on a bite. This just closes the system, so if the belayer decides to let go and the climber leans back or falls, that now the system is closed within a few feet. The next thing we're going to do is we want to get into the system. So I'm going to take my assisted braking device or Grigri and I'm going to put it into the climbing system. So now there's two options of things that can happen. So it depends on if the rope is weighted or if it's not weighted. If it's an unweighted belay takeover, at this time I can just take the belay device off. And I've escaped the belay. I can now go ahead and lower the climber to the ground and we can resolve the situation that's going on with the belayer. The next iteration of the takeover is the weighted belay takeover. This could be that for some reason this person is unable to continue to belay, but our climber is hanging on the rope. So obviously if they're hanging on the rope and we can let them down, I could just hold on to the brake strand and assist the belayer in lowering the climber. But in this particular instance, for some reason we can't do that. Maybe there's a ledge and we can't get the person down. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the system again. First thing we'll do, we'll tie the knot, the overhand knot to close the system. I'm now going to throw on my Grigri. And now I'm in the system. This time, I can't just take the belay device off because there's weight on it. There's no way to just undo this. The carabiner is too tight. So I'm going to go ahead and take a Prussik, and I usually make an auto block with this. And the reason I make an auto block is due to its speed. If it doesn't catch, I can always turn it into a quick climb heist, but for the most part it always catches. And that's catching. Now I want to take that double shoulder length sling and I'm going to use it to capture this Prussik and capture the weight of the climber onto my harness. I like to do everything on myself, and you'll see some folks show doing this off of the belayer, but I like to keep the belayer as much out of the situation as I can. So now I have a sling attached to my Prussik, which is going to capture the weight above the device. I'll stand up, and now I can lean back. And this takes the weight, so this is now loose. So all I have to do is remove the belay device. I can take rope up. And now, while the weight is still here, I do need to transfer the load. So how I'm going to transfer the load is just a slight hip thrust, just as you were if you were taking up a partner that was, getting ready to rest on the rope. So I can grab the carabiner like a handle, and I'm just going to step up and kind of hip thrust, and all of a sudden this is loose. So now I've got it still hands free because I've got my knot in here. I can just take this off, and we've fully escaped the belay. Cool. The next thing we need to do is start ascending up. Since we already have a friction hitch on the rope, and we already have a progress capture right here for us as we move up, we now just need some sort of foot loop, which can be this 48-inch runner. For me, what works really well is when I have this 48-inch runner, I'm going to stick my foot in it, and I'm going to go around one time. So that tends to be about the right length for me. This foot loop may not be needed in slab climbing or lower angle terrain. In fact, it may be more in the way. So we don't use all these tools all the time. But this sling provides a really good foot loop for anything that's fairly vertical, and it should be fairly easy to ascend the line. So you might find on slab climbing that the foot loop actually is getting in the way. So a lot of times I'll just take it off and let it hang there, and then I can just use this as a handle. Also, if you find yourself getting to where this is hard, you can always turn this into a 3-to-1 by just putting the rope through the carabiner, and now I can pull down every time. We also want to make sure that when we're ascending, that we're putting knots in about every 3 meters to 10 feet. Once we get close to our stuck climber, we really want to be just slightly above them, because we're going to be working with this rope here as long as we're not doing some sort of first aid with our climber. So I want both hands. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and tie a knot just so there's no slipping or anything. We don't want to scare the climber that we're near. Okay, so now I'm hands free, and now what I need to do is I need to capture the climber to bring them down. This is the pick off part of this exercise. And so if I just start to lower right here, well, I just go down. My climber stays right where they're at. So I need to grab their rope somehow. There's a couple ways to do this. We can either just quickly and hastily grab them with our double shoulder length sling again to their belay loop, but this isn't super comfortable on them. It can pull them, and it's not great client care. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Prussik and move it over to their line. So now I've captured their line, and I'll bring them down with me as I start to lower. So when we're starting to descend, we have a couple options with the friction hitch on where we want to put our climber. I can be below them by keeping this hitch down here. And sometimes this works well with kids if I'll actually have them go ahead and turn around and just grab on to this. Do you want to try that? Anna Marie's a little big for it, but you know, on a small child, this works great, and they can kind of hold on to this and they have fun swinging. I just keep my feet out so that they're not dragging. So I might find this position not that comfortable. The patient might not be that comfortable either. So what I might want to do is have them below me. Okay, Anna Marie, just keep leaning back. So I do a bit of a vector pull. This is pulling down on them, which brings me up. So now Anna Marie's a little bit below me. I can push my friction hitch up fairly high. Might go just a little more. So this can give us some really good separation so that we're not stepping on each other's feet. If for some reason we have a climber that has an ankle injury and they don't want to put weight on it, one of the things we can do is actually put this in between our shoulder blades on our back. It's not that comfortable, but it's dealable to get somebody down that's in a lot of pain. The single pitch pickoff with the rescue is really just a bunch of individual tools and components put together to do the scenario that we just saw. You could use any of these tools in different scenarios to help you self-rescue from any given number of situations. So take those tools and practice them individually before you start putting them together in the pickoff scenario. The pickoff scenario is also very similar to leader rescue. So those tools can be used in many, many ways. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible.